Have you ever wondered why wealthy people seem calm in situations that make everyone else panic? Why they make bold moves that look risky from the outside, yet somehow come out ahead again and again? It's not luck, and it's not fearlessness. It's because they don't define risk the way the rest of the world does. While most people try to avoid anything uncertain, wealthy people have learned to recognize which risks actually matter and which safe choices are slowly sabotaging their lives. Once you understand this shift, you stop fearing risk and begin using it as the tool that builds real freedom. Most people think risk is about danger, the chance something might go wrong. That's why starting a business feels terrifying, investing feels unsafe, and changing careers feels like stepping off a cliff. But this definition leaves out the most important part. Risk isn't just what you can see, it's also what you can't. Wealthy people understand that the biggest dangers in life are often invisible, slow-moving, and easy to ignore. Inflation, stagnation, dependence on one paycheck, lack of growth. Those are real risks, but they don't trigger fear. They feel normal, comfortable, familiar, and that's exactly why they're dangerous. We're wired to fear lions and heights, instant threats, but we're not wired to fear what drains us quietly over years. Wealthy people flip that instinct. They look past the immediate fear and ask a different question. What outcome leaves me trapped later? With that lens, doing nothing becomes riskier than trying. Staying in the same job for decades becomes riskier than pivoting. Keeping money in cash becomes riskier than investing. Once you redefine risk this way, your decisions change. Suddenly, the safe path doesn't look safe anymore, and the risky path becomes the most logical move. The wealthy don't chase danger. They chase asymmetry, situations where the downside is limited, but the upside is huge. Most people do the opposite. They risk everything for small returns. They spend decades depending on one employer, one paycheck, one source of stability. If that collapses, everything collapses. That's not safety. That's concentration risk. Meanwhile, wealthy people constantly look for opportunities where losing means losing a little, but winning means changing their entire financial trajectory. Starting a small side business might cost $3,000 in some time, but if it succeeds, it can generate tens of thousands a year. Buying a broad index fund might fluctuate in the short term, but long term it grows exponentially. Upside outweighs downside. That's asymmetry. This is why wealthy people seem bold. They aren't reckless. They're strategic. They place small, calculated bets where losing is manageable and winning is life-changing. And they place many of these bets over time. They don't need all of them to succeed. They just need one or two. Meanwhile, most people avoid these opportunities entirely because they're focused on what might go wrong, not what might go right. People often assume having a job is safer than running a business. But wealthy people see the hidden risk most others miss. When you depend on one employer, you've given total control of your income to somebody else. Your financial future depends on decisions made in rooms you'll never step into. One restructure, one downturn, one replacement hire, and everything changes. Wealthy people don't like that kind of vulnerability. They value control more than comfort. That's why they diversify incomes, invest in assets, and build skills that can generate value in multiple ways. They're not avoiding work. They're avoiding dependence. A business isn't less risky because it guarantees success. It's less risky because you control the levers. You can pivot, adapt, innovate, and respond. Uncertainty with control is safer than stability without it. This is why wealthy people build multiple streams of income, even when they already have money. It's not greed. It's protection. It's insurance. It's the understanding that control over your earning power is the ultimate form of security, the kind of job can never fully offer. Wealthy people aren't fearless. Their secret is simpler. They replace fear with information. Most people make financial decisions based on emotion, whatever feels safe or scary in the moment. But wealthy people study. They learn. They analyze. They talk to advisors, accountants, investors, founders. They gather enough knowledge that the thing everyone calls risky becomes predictable. When you don't understand investing, watching your money fluctuate feels like standing on a cliff. When you do understand it, volatility feels normal, even expected. When you don't understand business, starting one feels like jumping blindfolded. When you do, it becomes a series of calculated steps. Risk never disappears, but uncertainty does. This is why financial education is the highest return investment anyone can make. Not because it prevents losses, but because it prevents panic. It teaches you to see opportunities where others see danger. It turns the unknown into the understandable. And once you understand something, you stop fearing. Most people evaluate risk using a short timeline. What if this goes wrong this month, this year? Wealthy people evaluate risk using a long timeline. What creates the best outcome 10 years from now, 20 years from now? This single shift changes everything. In the short term, nearly everything looks risky. Stocks fluctuate, new careers start slow, businesses take time to grow. But in the long term, the patterns become obvious. Diversified investments grow. Skills compound, businesses mature, and opportunities multiply. Short-term thinking creates fear. Long-term thinking creates clarity. This is why wealthy people are calm during downturns. They aren't dependent on the next 60 days. They're thinking about the next 6,000 days. And in that time, temporary volatility becomes irrelevant. Risk shrinks as time expands. When your horizon is decades, the risky decision often becomes the safest one. Wealthy people don't avoid discomfort, they normalize it. They understand that everything meaningful feels uncertain at first. Learning a new skill feels awkward. Investing feels scary. Starting something new feels overwhelming. But they also understand this truth. Discomfort is temporary, but the rewards are permanent. Most people get stuck because they let discomfort guide their choices. If something feels scary, they avoid it. If something feels uncertain, they retreat. If something feels risky, they call it irresponsible. But wealthy people see discomfort as a sign they're growing. Your first investment will feel terrifying. Your 10th will feel routine. Your first business idea will feel fragile. Your third will feel natural. Your first uncomfortable learning moment will make you doubt yourself. Your 100th will make you unstoppable. Wealth grows when your comfort zone expands. That's the real path. Most people measure risk by the risk of action. Wealthy people measure risk by the risk of inaction. What does doing nothing cost you? What opportunities are you missing because you're trying to feel safe? Not investing means losing money to inflation every year. Not learning new skills means becoming less valuable every decade. Not starting something means putting your entire future in someone else's hands. Not trying means guaranteed stagnation. Avoiding risk is not safe, it's expensive. Wealthy people understand that the status quo is rarely stable. The world changes fast, industries shift, careers evolve, opportunities appear and disappear. Doing nothing is a gamble, and the price of avoiding discomfort today is often decades of struggle tomorrow. Wealthy people rarely go all in on anything. That's a misconception. What they actually do is place many small bets with large potential upside. They diversify across ideas, skills, investments, and opportunities. They don't need all of them to work. They just need a few that outperform. Meanwhile, most people do the opposite. They put all their security into one job, all their savings into a single account, all their hopes into one promotion, one source of income, one plan. That's not low risk. That's fragile. Wealth is built by spreading opportunities across multiple paths and letting time amplify the winners. This is why wealthy people seem like they always win. They don't. They simply win big when they do and lose small when they don't. Here's the part that surprises people. Wealthy individuals aren't more risk tolerant. They're more risk prepared. They build buffers. They build redundancy. They build safety nets that make bold moves far less dangerous. Emergency funds, diversified investments, multiple income streams, insurance, skills that can generate money anywhere, flexible lifestyles, networks that open doors, systems that protect them even when something goes wrong. To the outside world, it looks brave. To them, it's simply layered protection. They reduce the impact of risk before taking it. They aren't fearless. They're fortified. At some point, every wealthy person experiences a shift. A moment when they realize risk isn't the enemy, it's the doorway. Avoiding all risk keeps you safe in the short term, but trapped in the long term. Managing risk, using risk, understanding risk, that's how freedom is built. The wealthy don't pretend risk doesn't exist. They study it, they prepare for it, they harness it. And eventually, they stop seeing risk as danger and start seeing it as leverage. This shift is available to anyone, regardless of income, background, or starting point. It begins with one question. What decision gives me more control over my future? Not just today, but years from now. The moment you start asking that question, you're no longer guessing. You're no longer reacting. You're thinking like someone who builds wealth, not avoids risk. If this message resonated with you, it's because some part of you already knows the truth. The safe path isn't safe, and the life you want requires a new definition of risk. Not reckless risk, not blind risk, not gambling, but strategic, informed, controlled risk, the kind that expands your options instead of shrinking them. The wealthy aren't fearless. They're thoughtful, they're prepared, and most importantly, they're willing to take small steps that feel uncomfortable today because they know the future rewards are worth it. The question now is simple. Which type of risk are you choosing? The risk of action, temporary discomfort, or the risk of inaction, permanent limitation? If you want more videos that break down money, mindset, and the systems wealthy people use to build real freedom, we're here to help you understand the rules of the financial game so you can stop playing small and start building a future you control. Your next decision could change everything. Let's take that step together.